So when you log into the syllabus for the first time, and it'll be slightly different for you than it is for me, because I am not a teacher, so I don't have any classes that are in the system. But when you log in for the first time, you'll actually be kicked over to this courses. And of course, I don't teach anything, so it says no courses are found for you. But in your case, it'll show you the list of your courses for the semesters that are active. And this is kind of a good place to start if you're getting started with the syllabus. And the reason for this is that the syllabus tool actually lets you create a syllabus that isn't necessarily tied to a particular class. And this is both a good and a bad thing. It's good in the sense that you can do one of two things. You can either start drafting out a syllabus for a class that maybe you're not assigned to yet, or you know you're going to be teaching in the future and just sort of keep it in the system. But the other thing is that doing a syllabus that is not attached to a class lets you sort of build a template for a syllabus. And you know that there are certain things that you're going to add to every single syllabus for every single class that you teach. You can build a sort of a template that has all of this stuff into it. And then when you have your list of courses, you can just copy from another syllabus and add all that stuff so you don't have to retype it multiple times. In my case, because I'm not teaching a class, I'm going to go over here to the overview page. And the overview page essentially just gives you a list of all of the syllabi that you are the owner of. In my case, I'm going to go over here and start a new syllabus. So we're going to start from scratch. And you'll see that I get two choices here. I get a university-based template, and this is a blank syllabus that has all of the university policies in it. Or I could start from another syllabus. And this is useful if I've already created a syllabus in the system. I can pick and choose from either a previous semester or another class that I want to copy all the stuff from. Not shown here because it's not quite ready yet, but we are going to start working with some departments to actually allow departments to construct departmental templates. So if there are departments that they have things that they want all of the classes in their department to have, maybe pointing to a specific college level advising center, for example, they can create templates, and you would see a template for your department listed here as well. In my case, because I'm not teaching any classes, I'm going to go ahead and do the university-based template. And I click on that, and it's going to ask me if I want to start. So I'm going to go ahead and start. And this is going to load up a brand new syllabus for me. So just to kind of give you a lay of the land here, from left to right, you'll see the blue bar on the left. This is your navigation bar, and this is for the actual syllabus tool itself. This bar is tied to this button that says toggle sidebar, so I can click on that and it'll expand it, or I can collapse it. This is how I get from place to place within the syllabus tool itself. The center is sort of the meat of the syllabus. This is actually where all of the syllabus content lives. At the top is the add section, and as your syllabus kind of grows longer than one page, this add section bar actually appears at the top and the bottom. In this case, because I only have one section, it's only showing up at the top. And then finally on the right is the quick navigation bar. And the quick navigation bar is both useful for you as you're editing the syllabus, but this also shows up for students when they view the syllabus. And we'll see what that looks like once we have constructed something here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start adding materials. And we'll notice that in the add section, this is more or less in the same order that we went over in the slides. And this is a little bit of a guiding post for people that are constructing their syllabus. The way that it's structured is we have the course information first, and the idea is that you sort of add things in order. And of course, you can move things around, and I'll show you how that works in a second. So I'm going to go ahead and add a course information block. And you'll see that it just pops up the section and it has all the things that I can fill in. One thing that I didn't show in the screenshots on the slide deck is this sort of section information box. And this actually appears on the top of every single section. This does two things. One, you'll notice that there's this checkbox that says include title in sidebar quick links. And there's this section title and sidebar link name. So this section title you can name to whatever you want. So if you didn't want the name course information, you can say something like course details, right? And what this will do is this will actually make both the title of the section course details, but also the link over here on the right will say course details. And as mentioned before, for the course information, all of this gets pulled automatically from the system. In my case, I don't have a course, so they're just going to be blank. But there's this buttons at the bottom, and these are actually fairly important. When you add a section, you have all the fields that you can fill out for that particular section. Once you're finished with a section, you hit Save Section, and it adds it to your syllabus. So now you can see that I have a course details, which is really the course information. And you'll notice that this actually grays out because I can only have one course information block. So in a way, this add section becomes a sort of a checklist. You can say, okay, I've already added the course information. I don't need to worry about that anymore. It's already at the top. You'll notice that the course information block got added on top of the SF state policies. By default, the behavior is that the SF state policies will always go at the end of the syllabus. So as you're constructing your syllabus and you're adding things, things will get added on top of SF state policies, but you can always move this around however you like. And I'll demonstrate what moving looks like after I've added a few more information or sections to my syllabus. So I'm going to add an instructor section. And same thing, it gives me a field where I can change the name. So instead of instructor, I can type in professors or let's academic learning guide, right? And then because I'm logged in, it fills in all of my information here already. So my title is Lord of iLearn and Help Desk. If I had credentials, I would put them in there, but I'm just going to leave that ambiguous for now. My office is actually not going to be Library 220 in the near future. Just FYI, we are moving to the ground floor of the library. We're going to be located in Library 80 in the near future. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that right now. We're in Library 80. Then if I had office hours, I could put them in here. So I can say something like Monday, Tuesday, Friday, from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. because I'm a morning person. And then if I wanted to, I can provide a little bit about myself. So that this is where you can put in, these are all the books that I've written, or these are the talks that I've given, or whatever information that you want to provide for your students. And if I had a co-instructor for this class, I can go ahead and click on this button that says add another instructor. And I can go down here and I can add Heidi Friedrichs. I'm not even going to try spelling your last name. Sorry, I know you're in there. So Heidi F. And I know, so I can fill that all out. And if I knew her office hours, I can fill that out as well. So I'm going to go ahead and save section. And you'll see that it's already added it to the sidebar over here, which for me is covered by the Zoom window. Let me actually collapse that really quick. So you'll see that I added an instructor section, but because I renamed it, I called it Academic Learning Guide. Over here, it's actually called Academic Learning Guide. And it shows up here too, Academic Learning Guide. You'll see that it applies some formatting. So the names are bolded, how you can contact and all that information is already in there. So I'm going to add some TAs, and same thing here. I'm not going to change the title because we've already seen how that works twice. I'm going to give a name of a TA, John F, right? And John F at via email. And if I add more TAs, I can do that, but I'm going to go ahead and add section. So these are fairly straightforward. This one you don't have to even do anything about, you just have to add it. This one will already have your information in it, but you can change it as necessary. And then TAs, it starts being one of those fields that you actually have to fill out individually. And as we go along, you'll see my checklist says I've added the course information, I've added the instructor, and I've added teaching assistants. So now I'm going to go ahead and add an objective. So I'm teaching my class. I'm going to add an objective. I'm going to say an objective for this class is to learn how stars work. I don't know, maybe I'm teaching an astronomy class, right? And the description of this objective is a student will learn how stars produce light and energy. So I've entered an objective. I can enter another objective here. But the other thing that I can do is import objective content. And this is one of the things where we're going to start adding sort of content that you can import and adapt to your needs. So somebody had asked about the student learning outcomes. In objectives, we actually have a student learning outcome example. So I'm going to go ahead and add it here. So you'll see that I clicked on it. It has a green checkbox, and I can add selected content to syllabus. And this adds sort of a pre-baked sort of thing into my syllabus. So I could go in here. You'll see that I added a student learning outcomes, and it sort of gives me some pre-baked text. I can go in and change it however I need to. And it added some optional student learning outcomes. So let's say in this case, I didn't want the optional one, so I can just go in here and delete it. And now it's gone. So similar to the way that we saved the other ones, all of the work that I've done here isn't saved until I've hit save section. So I'm going to go ahead and save section. And you'll see that now I have my objectives. I have my learn how stars work objective, and I have my student learning outcomes, which I didn't fully type out. I actually just borrowed from the syllabus tool. Not all of the sections have this sort of pre-baked content that you can import and adapt to your syllabus. But as we start working with faculty members and departments, we will start adding some of these templated content that they can just drop into your syllabus as necessary. All right, you'll notice that objectives didn't gray out, and objectives didn't gray out because you could actually add more than one type of objective content. So if I wanted a whole box that was just student learning outcomes, I can do that and then add my course objectives as a separate thing. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and add some materials to my class. So same thing, hit materials. I'm gonna say this is materials, and I'm just gonna leave that as is. So you'll see these fields for the materials, and I'm going to move my zoom bar really quick because I have another tab open here. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull an astronomy book from OpenStax here. So this book is just called Astronomy, and the URL for this book is up here. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. And then this has a whole bunch of authors. So I'm just gonna grab the senior authors here and paste them into the authors field. Now, one thing that I did notice as I was playing with this yesterday is that when you copy a full list like that, you probably do want to do some sort of separation. So I went in and actually I'm just going to add some semicolons here so we can separate out these three authors. The publisher in this case is OpenStax. And the ISBN is down here. So I'm just going to go ahead and grab the digital ISBN. And this is the required textbook for this astronomy class. So I'm going to mark that as required. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and add another material here. And I did see that a chat came in. I will get to that in 1 second. And this is an astronomy class, right? So you need a telescope to look at things. So I'm going to say that a material is a telescope. Now, telescopes are super expensive, so I'm going to say that this is not a required material. You can borrow telescopes from wherever on campus, or just go up to the observatory and get a guided tour of the stars. Now, down here, there's some additional information. So if you wanted to provide more context for your materials, so in the case of my telescope example, I could say telescope can be checked out from the equipment cage. I know that's not the case, but maybe in the future you can check out telescopes. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to the additional information, and same as everything else, I'm going to go ahead and save section. And this has now added the materials. So as you can see, as I'm building out my syllabus, it's starting to build out this navigation over here, and I can just click on this and it'll take me down to that particular section. In the materials section, you'll see that the book Astronomy is required, and here's all the information. It has all the authors, who the publisher is, it has the link and it's clickable, and it has the ISBN. And then down here it has the telescope, and I didn't put in any other information because this isn't a book, so it doesn't really have any of the other information available here. And my note just appears at the bottom. All right, so I'm going to pause the demo for a second and take a look at the chat really quick, just to see what's been going on. Okay, so two questions that have come in. One is, if you teach multiple sections of a course, can you make a template? And yes, that's part of the idea of being able to create a syllabus that isn't tied to a particular course. It actually would let you create a syllabus that's not tied to anything. You can add all your stuff to it. And then when you're ready to tie it to a course, you can just copy it over. And the second question is, can I use UPC in place of ISBN for items? So you can. We haven't actually done anything that is ISBN specific. The one caveat for that is that you'll notice that the field itself is actually called ISBN. So if you wanted to put in a UPC, you can just paste in your UPC in here, and then in the notes, just say, for the lab coat, the ISBN is actually the UPC. But there is no restriction on the field. It doesn't do any sort of format checking or anything at the moment. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and continue here. So I'm going to go ahead and add a schedule. And last thing before I jump to this, somebody asks if the estate policies will update automatically in both drafts and syllabi. Yes, this block will automatically update if we ever make any changes. So if the campus policies change, I go in and update it, and it'll automatically update across the entire platform. And the resources as well. So any of the resources that are pre-baked in the system will automatically update if they change for whatever reason. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add a schedule, and you'll notice that I'm doing it from the bottom instead of from the top, so I don't have to scroll all the way up to the top. And this is a schedule. And as mentioned before, the schedule provides you a sort of a 3-column layout, but you can also do a 4-column layout if you really wanted to. So I'm going to go with a 3-column layout, and I'm going to say on January 30th, we're going to discuss the chemical makeup of star stuff. And the deliverable is bring in drawing of a nebula. And similar to objectives, we have this button where I can import schedules content. And this one is just sort of a template. So this one is the spring calendar. So this has all of the dates for the spring already listed in it on a week-by-week basis. So things like spring break is already in here. The campus closure for Cesar Chavez Day is already in here. The last week of class is already in here, and finals week is already in here. And I could go in here and edit this. And this, if you've ever talked to me, I'm not that kind of an excited kind of a person. So I'm going to remove the exclamation marks here because I don't know, maybe the last week of class maybe isn't that exciting to me. So I'm just going to go ahead and minimize that, or I'm going to save it. Yeah. And once I've done that, I can go here and save section, and I've added a schedule. So you'll see that the content that I imported here for the schedule, because it was a schedule specific content, it imported in all the dates for the spring semester on a week by week basis. So I do see a question here, and because this pertains specifically to schedule, I'm going to address it now. The dates are actually the weeks of the semester. So these aren't the specific days to your class, because we don't have class schedule information, if that makes any sense, in terms of when you're actually meeting. These dates are actually just the weeks of the semester. And the idea behind the importable content is that you can modify it to whatever suits your needs. So this is kind of a starting point. If you know that you meet multiple times a week, you can actually just add rows to this and introduce them as necessary. This just kind of provides you things like spring break is definitely going to be on March 23rd on that week. So that way you don't have to think about when this is actually happening. And these will get updated as the semesters go on. All right, so I'm going to go down here and add an activity section. And again, activities are where you put in the things that you are going to be doing in your class. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a name. This is paper 1 as an example. And as I mentioned before, our sort of recommendation is to group the activities together. So instead of just calling this generically activities, I'm going to call this papers. So I have a paper 1, and this is maybe 25% of my grade. And this is write a thesis statement on what you think stars are made of. And this is the same place where you would put in dates if that was actually necessary here, or you could put it in the schedule section, whatever makes the most sense. So I'm going to go ahead and add another activity here, and I'm going to say paper number 2. And this is also worth 25% of the grade. And the first paper was write a thesis on what you think stars are made of. And this one is write a paper on what stars are actually made of. So similar to all most of the other sections, I can also import activity content. And this one is actually wrong. So I'll have to talk to our developer about that one. But I'm going to go ahead and save section. And you'll notice that instead of activities, it says papers. So I'm going to go ahead and add a second activity section and call this exams. And do the same thing, call this exam 1. And I don't know what this is worth yet, but I'm going to add a final exam and go ahead and save it. And you'll notice that now I have a papers and an exams, and they're technically the same type of thing. They're just grouped separately. So all the papers are in one place, all the exams are in one place. Going down the line here, I'm going to go ahead and add a grades section. And again, you can import the grade content, and you'll notice that we have the iLearn default. So this matches exactly what it says inside of iLearn. So if you wanted to do that, or we have this basic one that just has A, B, C, D, and F. And I'm going to go ahead and add the iLearn one. And it's all filled in here. If I needed to adjust any of these, so I don't know, let's say this one isn't actually 82%. This is, I'm just going to say this is 83%. I can do that, and then I can go and save. And I've added the grade section to my class. It's down here. It's a nice formatted table. And then I'm going to go ahead and add a policies. And I am kind of speeding through this because I am watching the time. I do want to give more time for questions and to give a preview of what a fully built out syllabus looks like. So policies is similar to objectives. It gives you a title and a description. You can import policy content, and you'll see that we actually have a few of these sort of things that you can adopt and adapt into your syllabus. So I'm going to go ahead and import this plagiarism one, because this one looks interesting. There's two, a short and a long one. And I'm going to expand it here just so I can see what it looks like. So this one is just a one sentence plagiarism policy. If I wanted to expand on this, remember to not copy things. That one does get an exclamation mark because I'm actually very serious about that one. So I'm going to go ahead and save section. And you'll see I added a policy section, and this one I didn't really even have to think about it. I just imported the one that was already in there and added another sentence to it because maybe one sentence is not enough about this. Now the last one is resources, and again, resources are things that you think would be beneficial to your course but aren't necessarily things that are requirements. And you can add a custom one, or you can do the campus resources. And you can see that we have quite a few resources in the system. So you can just go down the line and mark the ones that you want. So let's say I want to add the tutoring, the research assistance, and maybe the Safe Zone and DPRC. Let's see, what else do I want to add here? And Gator Grub, and Veteran Services and Learning Assistance Center. All right, so those are the ones maybe ITS help desk, maybe I don't know how to access my email. So I'm going to add those to my syllabus, and you can see that they're all listed here. And I can actually just reorder these if I needed to. So I can go in here and say, okay, library resources assistance is actually more important than the tutoring center. So I can just move them around like that. And once I'm done adding resources, I can save sections. Okay, so we touched briefly on adding pretty much all of the sections. So this is a fully built out syllabus. You can see over here on the side. Resources, you'll see that they expand out. They have a nice little picture, a URL where you can find more information and all of that. And the SF state policies, as mentioned before, is automatically at the bottom of the page. So let's say I wanted to move stuff around. So what I can do here is I can actually start collapsing things. So I can do this because I don't really need to see what is in each of these sections. I can just go ahead and collapse them. So let's say I wanted to move. Okay, that's another thing that I'm going to have to report to the developer because that is kind of obnoxious. It's going to, yeah. All right, so let's say I wanted to move my objectives over to be above where my teaching assistants were. So I can go ahead and do that. I've moved it. And once I've done that, you can see that it's actually moved between my academic learning guide and my teaching assistants. So it's drag and drop, and you do so by just grabbing this 3 bars icon and moving it to where you want it to go. All right, so the last thing that I'm going to talk about here before I open it to questions is what this actually looks like for the students. So to do so, I'm going to go over here to options, and I'm going to view. And this view is more or less what students will see. The difference is that students don't see this bar up here because this is something that's specific to teachers. But aside from that, this is exactly what they would see. So you can see that it has the course details at the top, and it gives a kind of nicely formatted version of the syllabus as you've added it. The navigation bar moves over here on the side. You can use the navigation bar to sort of quickly navigate between the sections. So I can just click on that and it'll drag me down to that particular section. But the kind of the best option for this is this download as Word. And what this does is this actually will create a Word document that is fully accessible. It has all of the metadata necessary for screen readers. Everything is properly labeled. And if I click on this now, it's going to break screen sharing because I'm actually just sharing the Firefox window. So I'm not going to do that. But I would encourage you to download the Word version and check that out for yourselves once you start playing with the tool. Now, the last thing that I will talk about on this page, and this is actually available in multiple locations, but is this sharing toggle. So you can see that right now I'm not sharing this syllabus, but if I toggle this, now it says shared and a syllabus has been set to shared. And I could click on this little arrow and it'll actually give me a link to this particular syllabus. So I can click on that to copy it. And this provides a support document on how you can link that inside of iLearn.